You know the drill. You're standing in the grocery aisle, you've got two things in your hands, and you're staring at the nutrition labels. The thinking is, hey, if the fat, the carbs, and the protein are all the same, they must be equally good for you, right? Well, what if that's not the whole story? It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Are all foods that look healthy on paper actually created equal once they get inside our bodies? It turns out there might be this huge hidden factor that most of us are completely missing. Okay, let's make this super clear. Picture two breakfast choices. On one hand, you have some homemade overnight oats. On the other, a packaged breakfast oat bar. Now, look at the label. They are identical. Same fat, same carbs, same protein. So, which one is actually better if you're trying to lose weight? The answer to this might totally change how you think about food.
All right, let's get into it, because this very question was put to the test in this really groundbreaking clinical trial from researchers at University College London. They basically set up the ultimate food fight to finally get some answers.
So first up, let's meet our two fighters. In this corner, we've got minimally processed foods, or MPF for short. Just think of foods that are pretty close to how you'd find them in nature, like those overnight oats or spaghetti you make from scratch. And in the other corner, ultra-processed foods, or UPF. These are the ones that have been changed a lot, often with industrial ingredients you just don't have in your own kitchen. Think that breakfast bar or a frozen lasagna. Now, this is where the study gets really clever. The researchers made two totally different diets, one with minimally processed foods, one with ultra-processed. But, and this is the key, they made them nutritionally identical. I mean, the exact same amount of fat, protein, carbs, salt, even fiber. So this wasn't a competition of nutrients. Nope. It was a battle of processing itself. So here's how they did it. They took 55 adults, split them into two groups. One group got the minimally processed diet for 8 weeks, the other got the ultra-processed one. Then, after a little break, they swapped. But here's the most important part. The participants could eat as much as they wanted. Nobody was counting calories, no one was restricting anything. This was all about real-world eating. So what do you think happened? When you've got two diets that are a perfect match on the nutrition label, you'd expect the results to be a perfect match too, right? Well, that is absolutely not what the researchers found. After 8 weeks, yeah, both groups lost a little weight. I mean, even the ultra-processed diet was probably healthier than what they were normally eating, but the difference between them was huge. The group on the minimally processed diet lost, on average, 2.06% of their body weight. Compare that to just 1.05% for the ultra-processed group. Just let that sink in for a second. People lost twice as much weight eating the minimally processed food. And remember, the diets were matched for calories, fat, sugar, everything. That's a massive difference, and it's driven purely by how the food was processed. And it gets even more interesting. It wasn't just about the number on the scale. When you look at the people on the minimally processed diet, the weight they lost came from body fat and water. Their muscle mass didn't change. That is exactly the kind of healthy weight loss that we're all looking for. But what about hunger? You'd think losing more weight would make you have more cravings, right? Well, the exact opposite happened. The people on the minimally processed diet had a 2 times greater improvement in controlling their cravings overall. And for savory foods, it was a 4 times greater improvement. They were losing more weight while fighting less with their cravings. How wild is that? So, this is the big question, isn't it? If the nutrition labels were identical, what in the world was causing these huge differences in weight, in body fat, and even in cravings? The answer wasn't about willpower. It was completely automatic. When people were on the minimally processed diet, they just naturally ate about 290 fewer calories every day. They weren't even trying to. Their bodies just sort of did it for them. And on the ultra-processed diet, well, they still ate a little less, but the deficit was way smaller, only about 120 calories. That gap between them, that difference in automatic calorie cutting, that almost perfectly explains why one group lost so much more weight. So what's going on here? The main theory is all about the food's physical form. Minimally processed foods, they just have more texture, more structure. You have to chew them more, and that actually slows you down. It gives your body's "I'm full" signals time to kick in. So you end up feeling satisfied with fewer calories, and you don't even have to think about it. And this isn't just some useful tip for your own diet. The study's authors say this points to a much, much bigger problem with our entire food environment. As one of the study's authors, Professor Chris Van Tilliken, puts it, this isn't about blaming people. The results really suggest that the very nature of ultra-processing is what's driving poor health. The real issue is the food environment we all live in that makes these foods so cheap, so easy, and just everywhere. And hey, don't just brush off that initial 2% weight loss as nothing. The study's lead author, Dr. Samuel Dickin, explains that if you scale these results up over a whole year, you're looking at a potential 9 to 13% weight reduction on the minimally processed diet. Compare that to just 4 to 5% on the ultra-processed one. Over time, that's a truly life-changing difference.
So, what's the big takeaway from all this? I mean, how does this actually change what you do next time you're pushing a cart through the supermarket? So what's the new playbook? Well, the study's senior author, Professor Rachel Batteram, says all the old advice is still good. Watch your calories, limit salt and sugar, get plenty of fiber, but she adds this one crucial new layer on top. Whenever you possibly can, choose the less processed option and cook from scratch. That simple choice gives you benefits that go way beyond anything you can read on a nutrition label. And it leaves us with this one powerful final thought. For years, we've all been trained to ask, what's in this food? But maybe, just maybe, the more important question has been hiding in plain sight this whole time. How was this food made? The answer to that could be the real key to a healthier life. Thanks for tuning in.